if you're like me, you're probably not trying to read a whole packet of paperwork just to get just to get like a few lines of information. Probably not trying to listen to a whole bunch of YouTube investigators or whatnot. So let's just listen to an actual lawyer break down the case. Now, this is CLR Bruce, the criminal lawyer reacts. He's pretty famous for just covering some of the biggest, whether it was YSL, anything that comes out, whether it's rappers and whatnot in hip hop. He breaks it down from a legal point of view. So let's get into it.
That was an association of fellas who were in and it's the streets. It's the number of the streets, the Rolling 60s. And Big U, it's in South Central Los Angeles, and it kind of started in 85 or thereabouts. And Big U was one of the figures in the industry who came directly from the street, according to Boss Valtown. But he is from the Arlington and Slauson, which is known as the 60s territory. The Arlington gang was led by Big U's cousin Chili Capone, and as time went on, Arlington guys would call themselves Rolling 60s as they were from the same area. Now, here's the thing. Big U and Chili did not start the gang, but they were like second generation. These are not people to mess with, and they all have, a teardrop, not necessarily a teardrop, but they have earned one anyway. You know what that means. And Big U, who's like their main guy, claims not to have any directly said he didn't directly join the 60s, but that the affiliation was a natural one as he was an AG member, Arlington gang member, and he built his reputation on being an excellent fighter, learning martial arts, growing up, and possessing natural leadership skills. And when Chili Capone died...
Now, if y'all remember, there was a clip that went viral about Big U allegedly knocking out, like, it was a big amount. I don't know if it was 50 or 100, but just an outrageous amount of Southerners. Like, he had went and they had a riot, and Big U beat up a lot of the Hispanic brothers. Now, obviously, this is a riot, race riot. This is behind the walls, and politics are a bit different. But a lot of people spoke out like, no, that's impossible, this isn't that. But Big U is known to have, like, Mortal Kombat. He's known to have, like, karate and taekwondo or whatever. He just studied martial arts or whatnot. So...
they all die young, right?
Make that
he became the next leader of the AGs, or Arlington gang, and as the years went on, that just kind of morphed into the Rolling 60s. So they've indicted about 20 guys. I'm doing one right now where they've indicted well over 45 guys, and they're continuing to indict people. They're pulling people out of prison who are serving 30-year sentence on a homicide to indict them on a murder case, so they never get out. I'm telling you, this is not... If you're sitting there thinking, hey, it's a cool idea to be in a gang, or if you're thinking, I have to do this... think again, because this is happening all over the country. It happened in Atlanta, and we know what happened there. The prosecutor fucked that case up royally, and Young Thug had just amazing lawyers, and they didn't give up, which is just amazing. As the crack epidemic came in, the focus shifted to getting money, which brought more enemies. More enemies meant more firearms, and the gangs now had unlimited access. Big U would also rob dealers, and after attempting to rob and uncover officer who posed as a dealer, he was sent to prison for 23 years. Serving only 12 before going to prison. Big U managed to corrupt in 1990, who would go on to sign with Death Row Records after Big U went to prison. All these guys go to prison. You're in a gang, guess what? You're going to prison or you're going to die, one of the two. And it doesn't matter how long, and usually it's either for large drug crimes, and now it's RICO, which they can take any little thing and say it was in furtherance of the conspiracy. So what's a conspiracy? You remember what we said. It's an agreement between two or more people and an act to do a criminal act, and then an act in furtherance of that conspiracy. They have a motto in the Rolling 60s, and the motto is, you not 60s until you smoke one. You know what that means, to smoke on your ops? We've talked about that. Imagine wanting to be part of an organization that
infamous, you ain't a real one till you kill one.
Has a motto basically saying, you ain't a real one unless you backdoor and kill your brother. Example, what happened to Nipsey Hussle and, Sandman Niggas. The amount of fame and clout Nipsey brought...
Pause right there. That's why it kind of... Just makes my stomach feel weird, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Because he just said those two names. He said Nipsey Hussle and Sandman the Goose. Who are what? My people. African people. And I'm gonna do a video about Sandman, Nipsey, and Dogum in the reoccurring theme that led up to their demise. And the fact that he just said those two names, it hits home because it's like, those were African brothers, and it's like, for me, how I see it, man, fuck it, man. God gave me a voice, a little platform. Nigga did 20 million views plus 36,000 subs. Like, bro, if you are African and you got a forehead like myself, you better get the fuck far away from them gangs. Them niggas don't love you. I won't say they ain't love Nip, they ain't love Sandman, they ain't love Doggum, but it's like, I'm sure some of those people did. I'm sure that some of those people would have killed for bro. But at the same time, it's like, I'll be damned if I let a nigga that don't come from this culture, who mama and daddy and granny speak a different language, who don't got no big homies from this set, shine more than me in this program. No. And it's like, I won't say I idolize, because, you know, that's only for Rasulullah and God, but it's like, not even idolize, but I have so much respect for Nipsey because of the way he carried himself. But the reason why he carried himself that way is because of the backing he got from the 6-0s, from his respectable game. The same with Doggin, the same with Sandman. And it's like, you get something, like, it's a, how do I say it? It's like, it's not a fair exchange. You give your life for brotherhood, for some kind of backing, and I feel it because, you know, growing up African, it's like, you look over to the homies, to the black people, and you like, damn, that's dope. Y'all got an infrastructure. Y'all support one another. And me growing up as an African child that assimilated with black people, with street people, all sorts of Mexicans and whatnot, I understand where they succumb to that pressure of gangbanging, because it ain't no camaraderie amongst us Africans. I speak for myself. I was the head of a group of Africans that, you know, let's just say, you know, when I was in position, included everybody, took care of everybody, leadership, and then when things might have changed around, it wasn't necessarily the same. So I could understand the lack of camaraderie leading to gangbanging. But the fact that he just said those two names, it's like, it's a bigger picture for young Africans worldwide. It's like, yeah, it's dope to have a different brotherhood. Yeah, it's dope, but it's like, yo, your granny ain't gangbang, your granddaddy ain't gangbang. You introduced this to your lineage, and for them, they look at it like, who is this person that's just a first generation banger? My daddy from here, my granny from here. You know what I'm saying?
To them only for a tweaked out J-Cat from his hood to kill him. Oh, that's from the Boy Mess, whoever that is. And some of this stuff is just put together by our team here, and we're really trying to highlight, and what I'm trying to do is highlight the dangers of being in a gang and the dangers, and that's going to be pulling up. And if we got to tear the motherfucker up, we're going to tear it up. So be ready for that. Be ready for that. Bring me the money. So when the rappers didn't show up, Hanley and his associates took the promoter into the back room of the club where they were paid $30,000. $30,000 for nothing. According to a cooperating witness, aka a snitch, AB and his associates fixed the dice game and cheated NBA players out of millions of dollars using teased dice. You know, I mean, you don't hear, some guys you don't hear of going out for work. You know what work is. It's women. Following that game, Henley directed a group of Big U.S. Enterprise associates to rough up AB, who did not check in with Henley, and to get them money back from them on behalf of the NBA players. Multiple persons involved in the incident who were interviewed by the feds, including former NBA players, confirmed that Henley was paid $100,000 for negotiating return of the debt. In another 2022 incident, NBA players got into it with boxer AB after AB cheated a current NBA star.
That's clearly Adrian Boner.
A star out of $1.5 million and a former NBA All-Star out of $5 million.
And he got a crazy hand in the dice game. Well, obviously there were fake dice, but the fact that he got $1.5 million and another former NBA All-Star out of $5 million in a dice game, that's 6.5.
God, Henley charged the NBA players $100,000 to get their money back from AB. The current and former NBA All-Stars star players were identified as Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors and retired NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, these are not little dollars we're talking about, and these aren't little figures that we're talking about.
Checking in is just a way of letting people know where you're at so you can get robbed.
That's fact. We know when you're getting off the plane, we know what hotel or Airbnb you're going to. You shouldn't do it at all. Come on the plane, get 2 hotel rooms, one for partying in and then one to sleep in. And do not get no Airbnb. That's easy access. These young, they're starving.
Checking in.
What the fuck? That's good advice. And I would tell anybody to do the same thing. So, and so I am the task master at telling everybody not to self-snitch. But this whole check-in thing is part of the control and organization that is a foray into other crimes.
Movie production in the hood. That's how we do it, young man.
Top flight, baby.
This video right here, I can't believe was even posted. At first, it seemed like I think I seen it years ago, and it's probably like a lighthearted joke, you know. But with this RICO coming out, it's like, golly.
GB running this here movie set in the hood. Coming out here and checking in with GB, getting these movies done. You better know.
So how are you going to say that there's no such thing as a check-in when you're doing a self-snitching video saying that they're checking in?
Anytime you want to do movies in the hood, just go check it in. We can make sure it's done. Movies, videos. But if you don't check it in,
Oh well, let's go check your ass out.
we gonna check you in, all right? We gonna check in all of your equipment. We gonna check in all of your equipment.
And I think the Jewish people call it chutzpah. You know, I mean, the chutzpah that you have, and he's laughing, because guess what? If it ain't online, it didn't happen, right? And so, I mean, that is what we have, what we call total self-snitching. So, but I mean, that's not the only one. So Big U says to Flacco that if he wants to visit the Rolling 30s territory, he has to make a donation to the hood. Big U tells him that it's $1,500 if he wants to make that happen.
Shit. Flacco's mentioned in the... What the heck? No way.
Another. Should we go see if we have to go there and not check in? No, I'm not fucking doing that. So we did some work on Quando Rondo in the past, and in early 2021, Big U, who is a well-known figure in Los Angeles gang culture and a former Rolling 60s Crip, probably current, spoke about Quando Rondo reaching out to him for protection after the King Von shooting in November 2020. Quando Rondo was affiliated with NBA YoungBoy's crew, was involved in the altercation where King Von was killed by Quando Rondo associate Lil Tim. Big U mentioned in an interview that Quando Rondo had contacted him for support, but only after the situation had escalated. Why the fuck would you say that on camera? I mean, this Big U is just, he likes his celebrity status.
The youngsters get out, and then they have to have an experience before they realize, I should have checked in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or I should have called, or I should have been moving.
Here's why that check-in thing is so important to their organization. It is a steady stream of cash flow. You don't check in, you know, I don't collect the tax.
A certain way. And so they get out, and they might be under your banner, but then they not respecting the banner. They ain't calling you. They got your number. Mm-hmm. They know who you is, but they feel like they bigger than the program. You know, you got a lot of dudes, like when I was here last time, they claim my neighborhood that's in this music shit, but they don't really fuck with us until it's a problem. Then they call it. Like Quando Rondo. I just showed Envy. Like, you can't call me now. You can't call me when the fire hot. Mm-hmm. You didn't fuck with me before that. You know what I mean? You have my number.
Tell me that just doesn't sound like control. And that is what the indictment is trying to prove, and the government is trying to prove.
You could have called me. You could have did all that. You know what I mean? But he was around about. But how is that fair to me? How is that?
I mean, here's the deal. If I was going into L.A., into their territory, I suppose, I probably would check in, just because you wouldn't want the hassle of and the repercussion of not checking in. And that's what they're designed to do. You know, it's like he forgot what he was doing was illegal. You know, I mean, and it's total self-snitching. And every one of these videos, every one of these Instagram posts, every one of these, you know, you got to check in or it's going to get hot, you know. All that shit is going to...
Hey, yo, this lawyer's out of pocket.
Bite him in the ass. Loose cannon, he was, and now this episode has been deleted evidently. He was on No Jumper. It talks about the robbery of a dispensary. What gets said in the podcast ends up in the indictment. Watch this.
So basically it's like, cause he'll be like, he'll manipulate things. Like, we'll go and do something, and the same niggas we do it to show up to the house like 10 minutes later when we trying to, you know, counting everything, right? And we be like, how the fuck they get that? Oh, well, we're gonna just give them like $40,000 back and stuff like that. But cause it's actually putting us in paperwork, right? And
why in the hell are you saying this? I mean, if you're so smart to rob somebody, and
the crazier part is whack. Look at whack face, like whack, like. Tell him, son. Tell him.
Big money. How come you're not smart enough to keep your fucking mouth shut?
And like doing like real police shit. I seen a nigga get like 20 guns, and when he got 20 guns, he's selling them to the homies. But I'm like, why are you writing down the serial numbers? So it's like he was doing like shit like that, and I didn't catch on. So it was like, I'm waking up now. You get what I'm saying? Because
you've been asleep a long fucking time.
I'm his right hand man. You get what I'm saying? So when it came down to like dirt and stuff like that,
I'm his right hand man. How do you back off of that when you're in trial?
I'm gonna get it. Do you get what I'm saying? And then like one day,
you know why you want to get a dude back to 40, right?
Dude, I don't like it when you do things that hurt you. I mean, I just don't. But give me a break. Now listen to this. So this is from the indictment. Okay, we went from that video clip. Now to the indictment. According to Victim 1, when Victim 1 arrived at Henley's Arlington premises, Robinson, Williams, and other robbers were there, as were the proceeds of the robbery. Inside, Henley told Victim 1, "That's how you rob yourself." Henley then demanded $10,000 from Victim 1 to ensure other robberies did not occur. Henley also directed Victim 1 to identify other businesses or dispensaries that could be similarly robbed, and assured Victim 1 that the Big U enterprise would compensate him for identifying any robberies. And if you do that, you're in Dutch with them as well. Henley then provided a portion of the robbery proceeds back to, oh, by the way, you can have some of your fucking money back. But here's why this is important. I remember we just watched that video clip. Williams later admitted to this robbery and the aftermath on a podcast. On the No Jumper podcast, after stating that Williams was Henley's right-hand man, Williams explained, so basically he'll manipulate things. We'll go and do something, and then the same fellas we do it to show up at the house like 10 minutes later as we're trying to count everything. We just saw that. So that wound up in the indictment. So you can't make this shit up, and you can't make it any easier for law enforcement. So central to the accusations in this indictment is the murder of a 21-year-old aspiring rapper signed to Henley's unique UNEEK music label, Rayshawn Williams. According to court documents, the dispute escalated when Rayshawn recorded a diss track aimed at Henley, leading to an altercation that resulted in RW being shot, or Rayshawn Williams being shot and left dead in a ditch off of Interstate 15. So
that's what 600 and Whack was. 600 and Whack 100 came out talking about Big Hugh's DNA was found under some fingernail or something along those lines. I think they later found out that it was inconclusive.
You've got, racketeering, you got extortion, you got murder, you got drugs, you got all kinds of things that are endemic. So, and this is where it talks about that in the indictment. On January 20, 2021, 5 days before the murder and 3 days before Henley and Robinson drove from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, RW recorded a diss, short for disrespect, song at NLVPD, later obtained. So they got the diss track. In it, RW, Rayshawn Williams, rapped about the person who had the money, that RW would be shot in the face for thinking it's shit funny, and referenced a .38 revolver with no trace. And now this 21-year-old is fucking dead because he did this diss track.
TD, I was looking for artists. TD told me to go get Nip. I went and seek Nip out of all the people I already been interviewing and talking to, and he was the signing light. He was the diamond in a pile of whatever. He was a diamond. Let me respect to my other homies. He was a diamond in a pile of other diamonds, but he was a bigger diamond. He was the shine.
Yeah.
He was, and then
he was the VVS.
He was the VVS.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we had made a couple of moves and was trying to move through a couple of doors, and I vastly found out that I couldn't go through these doors. So that's when I went and got Steve Lobel. And I went and got Steve, let Steve hear the music. Steve felt the same way I felt about the music. And I was like, boom. So I signed Nipsey to Unique Music, to my
It's UNEEK.
Now this is the crazy part. How do you give someone that you love or someone that you can care about a 10-year deal
to Aramis Astrodome, to my label, to Unique Music? And then Steve was 10% management and I was 10% management because it didn't make no sense for us to go get another manager.
Right.
And so we started pushing on that. So I signed into it. It was signed to a 10-year production contract, which started in 2009, which would end 2019.
Crazy.
Watch this.
Hello. But
so you see that little hello. That's not a good look.
I ain't tripping off that because it is what it is. But I do have that. You know what I mean? So,
wait, so your deal with Nipsey was 10 years?
It was 10 years.
It was a 10?
It was 10 years, 25% of publishing to Aramis Astrodome.
Oh, wow. So 09 to 2019.
09 to 2019.
And they're going to use this in the trial. I guarantee it.
So technically, Victory Lap.
Hello.
Okay. Wow.
Wow. So now watch him on No Jumper.
So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got killed. I'm like, 6-0. I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey, and I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey answered.
Nipsey answered. He answered the phone. So after I talked to Nipsey, and I was like, yeah, I love you, cuz, or whatever like that. I'll see you later or whatever. So I hung up the phone. I thought, Big U gave wrong information. 30 minutes later, the homies blowing me up like they just killed Nipsey.
You get a call from Big U telling you Nipsey just got killed.
Yeah.
You panic, call Nip. Nip answered the phone.
Yeah.
30 minutes after you get off the phone with Nip, he get killed.
Yeah.
Why is he talking about this on a broadcast?
I got it.
So you think he hit you a little too early?
Yep, he hit me a little bit too early because the homie Shitty.
This is fair game. This is absolute fair game. And guess what? If he doesn't testify, how would this come in? Wouldn't it be hearsay? No, it wouldn't be hearsay because it's a conversation between co-conspirators. That's not hearsay in the federal world. All right, we're going to do one more of these. And this is loose cannon, or we should say loose lips, because he's going to sink his own ship. And listen to what he has to say about the PNB Rock murder.
Rock got killed in the
Roscoe's. Yeah. So I felt it was like super messed up because at the end of the day, it was me and Big Useless in there when it happened. So when it happened, I wish I could have just told him like, bro, just give up the jury and we get it back to you later. But it just happened so fast, and he wasn't.
PNB Rock.
He's telling you that he's part of this. So let's say you and I agree to rob a liquor store, but I don't know you have a gun. And, you know, I'm not there for a murder. I'm just there for the cash that's in the register. But you fucking shoot somebody anyway. Guess what? Part and parcel of the whole thing. So if he's doing the negotiating for somebody to check in and they get shot for not checking in, he's guilty of aiding and abetting his murder.
He wasn't cooperating. And that's when they took it off of him by force. You get what I'm saying?
What do you say to a person who won't give up their jury when something like that's happening?
No, give it up and then check in with the real people. So
and what is that? Checking with the real people. So, okay, I just got robbed. Now I'm going to go in and check in with the people because I probably got robbed by you guys. And so I'm going to go check in with you guys, and you're going to take a portion and give me something back. And then he got killed because of that.
We're going to find the jury, and we're going to get it because we know all the pawn shops, we know all the people that's going to melt it down and everything like that. So as soon as it comes on their table, we got it. Okay, get it, go in that back room, make that phone call, put them on the phone. That's how it works.
On a podcast talking about this. So Big U's detention hearing is for March 31st, and his arraignment set for April 8th. So here's what happens in the detention. You know, it's presumed detention. In other words, the types of crimes that they're being accused of require detention unless the defense can rebut that presumption. In other words, he'd have to, like NBA Youngboy did, he had to put on some evidence that he has sufficient guarantees that he's going to show up for court and protect the public. And if P. Diddy didn't get out, these fuckers aren't getting out either. And then April 8th is the arraignment. That's just where you plead not guilty, and then they set your trial and that kind of thing. So you watch what's going to happen here. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I'm sure he's got good lawyers. You know, and he's presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But you heard from their own words, from their own mouths.
No. Yeah, I just thought, you feel me, instead of listening to YouTube lawyers and investigators and stuff, let's actually listen to an actual lawyer. So, damn. What do y'all think, though? Let me know in the comments, man. Whoa.